Hi everyone. In this video, we'll see how to import data into an R console and how to start working with the data set. So before you do any analysis on any data set, you first need to know how do you get that data file, especially a CSV file, which is a comma separated values file, into the R Studio so that you can start using R to analyze the data set, right? So just before we start, you can see on my screen that you have a lot of things run on the console and you have a lot of objects created in the global environment. So as a good practice, before we start anything, we clean out the R objects. And if you haven't seen the video of the command that we use to clean out the objects, it's command this, and we just run it. You see that the global environment gets clean, and for the console we just need to press Ctrl plus L and the console gets cleaned up as well. If you missed out on that video, I'll add the link for this video on the card on the top right. Please click that and you'll be redirected to that video. Now coming back to the current video, what we'll be talking about is how to get the data file from your system into the RStudio to start analyzing. Now there are steps to follow in this. Now what's the first step? First step was cleaning our objects, which we have done. Next step was checking the working directory. So what is actually a working directory, right? So the working directory is basically where your file is stored. So like for me, in on the desktop, there's a folder called files for R. The data set that I want to upload is stored in this place. So that's why my working directory is set at users Jantaneja desktop files for R. If you want to change your working directory, you can use the command set working directory and you can just change it based on the place where the directory is, right? So for that, you just need to place here. Let's say I want to just pull from the desktop, right? I'll just run this command and boom. Now the working directory has been changed. I can confirm that by running get working directory again. So now my working directory is desktop, right? But right now I do want it to be the earlier one, which is files for R, where all my data sets are placed. So I'll go back, I'll run set working directory and I'll check the working directory. So yeah, now R is in the folder where my data sets are. So R knows that the working directory is desktop files for R. Now there is a data set in that folder named r underscore car underscore dataset dot csv. CSV is a particular type of file which is comma separated values. There is a proper command in R which helps us to get the data set from that folder into an R data frame on which you can do the further analysis, and we'll be covering those further analysis in the upcoming videos. But as of now, we just want to know how to get that data set from your folder into the RStudio. So now coming to the most important line, it's you'll name this data frame as df1 is equal to read.csv. So you are reading a CSV file, and when you read a CSV file, you just need to add the name of it. So like I know what the name is, I have just copy pasted here in the comment. The name of the dataset is r underscore car underscore dataset dot csv. Now after that, there is one command that you need to add, that is stringsAsFactors is equal to false. I'll just come back to it, that why we need to specify it to be false and run this command. Now, just because I said it has to be false, that doesn't mean I won't show you the result of when it is true. So when it is true, stringsAsFactors is true, I'll run both the commands as df1 and df2 and I'll show you what's the difference between them, right? So first of all, what is stringsAsFactors? So strings are any kind of a name, right? So let's say you have this data set called df1. I'll just open it in the system. If you see here, I'll just open the annotation. So if you see here, these are all names, right? These are strings. So in that command, we are saying strings as factors. Now, when we talk about that, so we are just saying that the names in that file should be treated as factors, right? But what are factors? So when we talk about factors, we essentially say that, let's say you want to classify 50 people in a classroom into male or female. So like 30 will be female, 20 will be male, right? So you classified the entire students of 1, 2, 3 till 50 into either male or female, right? So this is a factor output which helps you classify people. But when you have a list of names, you cannot actually say that these are 50 factors because every name is unique, every name is different. So these are just normal strings, right? So you don't need that. R, being a statistical software, it has strings as factors is equal to true by default. So we don't actually want that because we are not going to run any regression on the car names, right? Or on the student names. It does not add any value to our analysis. So as a good practice, whenever you are uploading a data set from a CSV file, just add this command strings as factors is equal to false. If you want to understand more in depth, why is this used, right? What you can do is you can just again go to the console, just like in the previous video where we talked about clearing the R objects. Just add a question mark and write read.csv and press an enter. If you see on the bottom, you'll see data input, where it's used, read.csv, and what kind of arguments can be followed, right? Row names, numerals, column names, as is. There are so many commands that you can check, and you'll see here strings as factors. I'll annotate that again so that it's easy, right? If you see here, strings as factors. So you can actually see anything in R if you want, if you know where to look at. So console is the best place to add a question mark and just look at it, what you want to do about it, right? Okay, so now that we have seen what factors are, what strings are, I'll just show you what the structure of each of these data set is. So since we had strings as factors is equal to false in one, strings as factors is equal to true in another, sorry. So now you can actually see the structure for df1, and when I run that, if you see here, you can see it's a character, right? This is a character. But when I go here and I write structure df2 and I run this command, you can see that now this has become a factor, right? Now this is a factor. So with 32 levels, but earlier when we just see about it, this was a character which did not have 32 levels. Now because there are 32 unique names, this is a factor with 32 levels which does not add any value at all. So just to remove things which don't add value, we just use strings as factors is equal to false after we have added the name of the data set that we want to upload or import, to be precise, into the RStudio. So this is how you import, and we'll be talking in the next video about how to perform different sets of analysis on the data set. I'll be using a different data set or a same data set if that's what works, and we'll show how to add a column, remove a column, how to synthesize a column, like let's say a column multiply a column npg with 2 and make it an npg2 column, or a column of gear and divided by 4 and make it a new column, all in the RStudio itself. You don't need to pull this data into an Excel or a Google Sheet to do this analysis. You can just run one command and the RStudio will take care of it for you. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.